What if just a small XRP investment today could become something life-changing in the future? Imagine putting aside only $500 or $1,000 now, then watching it grow over the coming years if XRP reaches the massive price levels many investors believe are possible. While no one can predict the future with certainty, the potential numbers are enough to make anyone pay attention. And right now, something much bigger may be happening behind the scenes. Ripple could be positioning itself to move deeper into the global banking system in a way most people still do not understand. This is exactly why smart investors are watching every move closely. Welcome back to XRP Gold Silver Scope, where we break down the biggest XRP opportunities in simple and easy English. Today, we are looking at one of the most important ideas in the XRP world. What if Ripple no longer needed to rely on traditional banks as middlemen? What if Ripple could gain direct access into the banking structure itself? That possibility has started gaining attention after reports connected to a major banking document discussed how financial technology companies are trying to enter mainstream banking through a special legal path. This path is known as a Special Purpose National Bank Charter. It may sound technical, but the meaning is simple. It could allow selected fintech companies to operate in a banking-like structure with more direct access to the financial system. Why does this matter for XRP holders? Because Ripple has spent years building payment systems, cross-border transfer solutions, liquidity products, and blockchain tools for banks. Up until now, Ripple has often worked alongside banks or through partnerships. But if Ripple ever gains stronger banking status, it could remove some barriers and move closer to the core of the system. That means faster growth, stronger legitimacy, and more real-world utility for XRP. Think about the current system. Global payments are often slow, expensive, and full of unnecessary middle layers. Money may pass through several institutions before reaching the final destination. Fees build up, delays happen, errors happen. This old system has existed for decades. Ripple's mission has always been to modernize that structure using blockchain technology and XRP as a bridge asset. If Ripple gets deeper institutional access, that mission becomes much easier to achieve. Many investors focus only on daily price candles. They ask why XRP is not already $10, $50, or $100. But markets do not move only from hype. True long-term value often comes from adoption, utility, and infrastructure. That is what makes Ripple different from many short-term speculative projects. Ripple has been working directly with regulators, payment providers, and institutions for years. It has built relationships in places where most crypto companies never reach. Now imagine this next step. Ripple enters deeper financial channels while also expanding its stablecoin ecosystem, tokenization services, and payment rails. That would place the company in multiple growth sectors at once. XRP could benefit as a liquidity tool, settlement asset, and bridge between currencies. This is why many long-term holders remain patient even when price action feels slow. They are not only investing in today's chart, they are investing in future infrastructure. Another reason this story matters is timing. Governments and regulators around the world are now taking digital assets more seriously than ever before. Stablecoin regulation is advancing. Tokenized assets are growing. Banks are exploring blockchain settlement systems. Major institutions are no longer ignoring this sector. They are preparing for it. Ripple has a head start because it has already spent years building within compliance-focused environments. That gives Ripple a powerful advantage. While others are trying to figure out regulation, Ripple has already been fighting legal battles, building partnerships, and refining products. Many investors now believe that once regulatory clarity improves, Ripple could move much faster than people expect. Sometimes the companies that look slow are actually building the strongest foundations. And here is where XRP becomes interesting. XRP was designed for speed, low transaction cost, and liquidity movement across borders. It was not created only as a meme coin or hype token. It was designed with a use case in mind. If the world begins demanding faster and cheaper settlement systems, XRP could become far more valuable than current markets are pricing in today. This is why many experienced investors stay focused on the bigger picture. They understand that major financial systems do not change overnight. Banks move slowly. Governments move slowly. Institutions move slowly. But when they finally move, they move with scale. One serious shift in adoption can create effects that years of speculation never could. Ripple entering stronger banking channels would also create trust signals. Institutions care about structure, regulation, security, and legal certainty. If Ripple gains more formal standing, some companies that were waiting on the sidelines may feel more comfortable joining in. That could mean more users, more volume, more liquidity demand, and more reasons for XRP to be used. This is why today's quiet developments matter so much. Most people only notice headlines after prices explode. Smart investors watch the groundwork before the headlines arrive. They study legal progress, banking access, stablecoin expansion, tokenization partnerships, and infrastructure growth. These are the signals that often appear before major market revaluations. Right now, many people are frustrated with XRP because they expected much higher prices already. They ask why XRP is still moving slowly while other coins make sudden explosive gains. They compare XRP to meme coins that rise thousands of % in a short time. But this comparison misses one very important truth. XRP is playing a completely different game. It is not built for quick hype cycles. It is built for long-term utility inside serious financial systems. And that difference could become extremely important in the months and years ahead. The crypto market today is still heavily driven by speculation. Prices move because of excitement, narratives, momentum, fear, and social media attention. Many assets pump without any real-world use. Many projects become popular for a few weeks, then disappear. This has happened again and again across multiple market cycles. But utility-driven assets often move slower because real adoption takes time. It requires partnerships, regulation, infrastructure, testing, trust, and integration. That process is slower, but it can be far more powerful in the long run. This is where XRP stands apart. XRP was designed to solve payment inefficiencies, especially cross-border transfers. It aims to move value quickly, cheaply, and globally. Instead of waiting days for settlements or paying large fees through multiple intermediaries, XRP offers a modern alternative. But for that value to reflect strongly in price, institutions need to actually use it at scale. That full utility stage has not arrived yet. Many holders believe we are already in the utility era, but the truth is, we are still early. Most of crypto is still priced on future expectations rather than present utility. Bitcoin is often viewed as digital gold. Ethereum is valued for smart contracts and ecosystems. XRP is valued partly for what it could become once financial systems integrate it more deeply. That means today's price may still be based more on anticipation than full real-world demand. So what could change that over the next few months? First, regulatory clarity remains one of the biggest factors. Institutions do not like uncertainty. They want clear rules before committing serious capital or integrating new systems. Whenever legal clarity improves, confidence rises. And when confidence rises, adoption can accelerate quickly. Ripple has already fought through major regulatory challenges, and many investors believe that once these clouds fully clear, XRP may attract stronger institutional interest. Second, stablecoins are becoming a major topic worldwide. Governments understand that digital dollars and tokenized fiat currencies are likely part of the future financial system. Ripple's own stablecoin efforts could place the company in a strategic position. If Ripple expands in stablecoins while also offering payment rails and tokenization tools, it becomes more than one product. It becomes a multi-layer financial technology company. XRP could benefit from being connected to that growing ecosystem. Third, tokenization of real-world assets is gaining momentum. This means turning traditional assets like real estate, bonds, commodities, and financial instruments into blockchain-based tokens. Many experts believe trillions of dollars in value could eventually move onto blockchain rails. If Ripple and the XRP ledger capture even a fraction of that future market, demand for network activity and liquidity tools could grow significantly. This is why patient investors focus less on daily candles and more on macro developments. One day of sideways movement means very little compared to institutional onboarding, regulatory wins, or tokenization partnerships. Those larger developments may not create instant excitement, but they build the foundation for sustainable growth. Another thing many people forget is that banks and financial institutions move very slowly. Some still rely on systems built decades ago. Internal approvals take time. Compliance reviews take time. Pilot programs take time. Technology migrations take time. So when people ask why XRP has not fully exploded yet, the answer may simply be that the customer's XRP targets are slow-moving giants. But when giants move, they move with huge capital flows. That is why XRP can appear boring during speculative phases, yet become highly attractive during adoption phases. Meme coins can rise fast because they depend on hype, but hype can vanish overnight. Infrastructure assets may take longer because they depend on implementation. Yet once implemented, they can create recurring utility and lasting demand. Another bullish factor is market positioning. XRP remains one of the most recognized digital assets globally. It has strong brand awareness, exchange presence, community loyalty, and years of market history. That matters when institutions choose assets they can trust and understand. Familiarity often wins over unknown projects. XRP has survived multiple cycles, legal pressure, criticism, and market volatility. That resilience itself has value. Then there is the psychological side of markets. Many investors quit right before a major move because they become tired of waiting. They lose patience after months or years of slow performance. Markets often test conviction before rewarding it. This does not guarantee XRP will surge tomorrow, but it explains why long-term opportunities are emotionally difficult. If something were easy, everyone would hold it until success. The next few months could be especially important because crypto markets are maturing. Regulation is improving. Institutional products are expanding. Governments are paying attention. Payment innovation is accelerating. This creates an environment where utility narratives may finally matter more than meme narratives. If that shift happens, XRP could be one of the strongest beneficiaries. Imagine a market where investors stop asking only, "What can pump fastest?" and start asking, "What solves real problems?" In that kind of market, XRP enters the conversation in a much bigger way. Speed, cost efficiency, liquidity movement, enterprise relationships, and compliance readiness all become valuable strengths. This does not mean every week will be green or every prediction will come true. Markets remain volatile, but it does mean XRP may be far more strategically positioned than short-term charts suggest. Sometimes the biggest opportunities hide inside assets people are currently underestimating. Now we reach the most important question in this entire discussion. If XRP truly achieves the long-term vision that many investors believe in, what could a small investment today actually turn into in the future? This is where imagination meets mathematics and where patience meets opportunity. Let's break it down in a simple way so it is easy to understand. If someone invests $500 or $1,000 in XRP today, they are not just buying a digital asset for short-term trading. They are essentially placing a long-term bet on global financial transformation. The idea is that if XRP reaches much higher price levels in the future, even a small amount today could multiply significantly. For example, if XRP were to reach $100 in the future, a $500 investment today could grow into around $16,000 worth of XRP. If we go further into higher projections like $500 per XRP, that same $500 investment could potentially become around $81,000. And if extreme long-term scenarios like $1,000 per XRP are ever reached, that $500 could theoretically turn into around $160,000. These numbers become even more powerful as the investment size increases. A $1,000 investment today would simply double those outcomes. At $100 XRP, it could become around $32,000. At $500 XRP, it could grow to around $162,000. At $1,000 XRP, it could potentially reach around $325,000. These are not predictions, but mathematical scenarios based on future price assumptions that many optimistic investors discuss. Now, if we talk about a larger position like $5,000 today, the long-term impact becomes even more dramatic. At $100 XRP, that could be around $162,000. At $500 XRP, it could reach over $800,000. At $1,000 XRP, it could move into the million-dollar range. And at extremely high speculative levels like $5,000 or $10,000 per XRP, the numbers become life-changing on paper. But it is very important to understand something clearly here. These outcomes are not guaranteed. They are purely hypothetical scenarios based on future price possibilities. Crypto markets are highly volatile, unpredictable, and influenced by many global factors, including regulation, adoption, liquidity, and economic conditions. No one can confirm future prices with certainty. Still, this is exactly why many long-term investors think differently. Instead of focusing only on short-term price movements, they think about long-term positioning. They ask themselves a different question, not, "How much can I make this week?" but, "What could this become in 10 or 15 years if adoption actually happens?" That mindset changes how they view small investments today. This is also why some people consider long-term holding strategies for future generations. The idea is simple. Instead of treating crypto as only a trading asset, some investors treat it as a long-term digital reserve. They may store a small amount safely, sometimes even in cold storage wallets, and leave it untouched for many years. The goal is not emotional trading, but long-term positioning. For example, some families think about their children's future. Education, housing, and financial stability are always major concerns. So the idea of setting aside a small XRP investment today and holding it for 10 to 15 years becomes an interesting strategy for some people. If XRP performs well in the long run, it could potentially contribute to future financial support. If not, the risk remains limited to the original amount invested. But again, discipline is very important here. Crypto is not a guaranteed wealth-building system. It requires understanding, risk awareness, and patience. Anyone considering long-term investment should only use money they can afford to hold without stress. Emotional decisions often lead to mistakes in volatile markets. Now stepping back into the bigger picture, XRP's long-term value depends on one major factor: real-world adoption. If financial institutions, banks, and payment systems actually integrate XRP into their settlement processes, then demand could increase significantly over time. If not, price growth may remain limited to speculation cycles. That is why developments around regulation, Ripple partnerships, stablecoins, and tokenization all matter so much. They are not just news headlines. They are pieces of a larger puzzle that could determine whether XRP becomes widely used infrastructure or remains a speculative asset. In the middle of all this uncertainty, one thing remains consistent. Markets reward patience when vision aligns with execution. But patience alone is not enough. It must be combined with realistic expectations and strong risk management. Thinking in extremes without understanding risk can lead to disappointment. So when we talk about XRP potentially reaching very high price levels, it is important to balance optimism with reality. Yes, the upside scenarios are exciting. Yes, the numbers can look life-changing. But they exist in a future that depends on many variables coming together at the right time. This is why smart investors do not blindly believe hype. They observe, they analyze, and they position themselves carefully. They understand that early positioning can be powerful, but only if managed responsibly. Before we finish, remember this key idea. Every major financial shift in history looked uncertain at the beginning. Early internet, early mobile technology, early digital payments all faced doubt before adoption became mainstream. Blockchain and digital assets may follow a similar path, but the timeline is not guaranteed. So the real question is not just about price predictions. The real question is whether you believe in the long-term evolution of global finance and whether you are willing to participate in it with a clear mind and proper strategy. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to stay connected with XRP Gold Silver Scope for more simple and deep XRP analysis.